From jealousy among bandmates, messily publicized divorces with celebrities, having a manager that made advances such as trying to kiss them and grab them at the age of 16, which eventually led to their alcohol abuse. These are just some of the things that brought Canada's most popular pop punk band from the top to eventually calling it quits. This is the rise and fall of the band Sum 41. Sum 41 is an iconic Canadian pop punk band that started in Ajax, Ontario, and they reached international fame pretty much from the get-go. But the roots can be traced back to 1994 when high school friends Derek Whibley and Steve Jocks, along with original vocalist John Marshall, formed a band initially known as Caspire. Inspired by bands like Nirvana and Weezer, their early sounds drew comparison to Blink-182, characterized by catchy melodies and playful sense of humor. As their musical styles evolved, incorporating influences from NoFX, they changed their name to Sum 41. And the reason why was because it was 41 days of summer break until Warped Tour was finally on. Notably, the band's first televised live performance took place on Johnapalooza, a segment on a Canadian's teen talk show called Jonavision. And so it was at this event that would change the lives of everyone in the band and lead Whibley down a path of substance abuse. At the Johnapalooza event, Whibley met their soon-to-be manager and producer, Greg Norrie. Whibley asked Greg to check out his band. Greg was not impressed at all. He said their current lead singer, John Marshall, needed to go and Whibley should take up lead vocal duties. This angered John, and so he left the band and Whibley took up the lead vocals. During these formative years, Sum 41 faced many lineup changes, even a near-fatal car accident which led Roy to leave the band and be replaced. The early days were also marked by their raunchy live shows and childlike humor, which quickly gained them a following in the Ontario punk scene. They honed their skills by playing local venues and recording demo tapes, eventually catching the attention of Island Records. In 1999, they signed a record deal that would launch them to international stardom. Sum 41's debut album, Half Hour of Power, released in 2000, gave a glimpse of their potential and set the stage for the commercial breakthrough. However, it wasn't until their full-length album, All Killer No Filler, in 2001 that catapulted them to mainstream success. The album's lead single, Fat Lip, became an anthem for the early 2000s pop-punk movement, topping the Billboard Modern charts and driving album sales to platinum status. All Killer No Filler sold 3 million copies worldwide and established Sum 41 as a major force in the punk rock revival. This marked the peak of their album sales, with subsequent album sales generally experiencing lower sales figures. Tracks like In Too Deep and Motivation further fueled their popularity, and their energetic live performances, humorous music videos cemented their image of fun-loving, rebellious rockers. Their music even found its way into popular culture, appearing in major franchises like Spider-Man, American Pie, and Bring It On. But Sum 41 did not slow down. Their second album, Does This Look Infected, came out in 2002, showcasing a heavier, more aggressive sound while retaining their signature melodic hooks. Songs like Still Waiting and Hellsong resonated with fans, and their album achieved gold status in the US and Canada. The album went on to sell 1 million copies. It marked a decline from their previous album, and the trend continued with each album after that. So what happened next was something that's never really happened to a band before. They found themselves in the middle of an actual war. In 2004, Sum 41 embarked on a trip to the Democratic Republic of Congo with War Child Canadian to film a documentary called Rocked, Sum 41 in the Congo. While there, they found themselves caught in a crossfire of violent conflict. They were eventually evacuated with the help of UN peacekeeper Chuck Berter, whose bravery inspired the title of their fourth album. This harrowing experience has a profound impact on the band, leading to more mature and introspective sound on the album Chuck. In 2004, Sum 41 released their fourth studio album, Chuck. This album, despite their experiences while in the Congo, only ended up selling 800,000 copies and continued their downward trend in album sales. The mid-2000s brought a significant change for Sum 41. In 2006, guitarist Dave Backish left the band to form his own band called Brown Brigade. This departure marked a turning point, as Back's guitar work had been integral to their sound. Despite the setback, Sum 41 continued, releasing Underclass Hero in 2007, which took a chance and leaned more towards the pop-punk sound. But by this time, pop-punk was no longer a mainstream genre, and Underclass Hero only sold 150,000 copies, further illustrating the band's declining in album sales. Adding to the complexity of Whibley's personal life was a high-profile marriage to fellow Canadian pop star Avril Lavigne. The couple married in 2006 and quickly became the tabloid fixture. The intense media scrutiny and pressure surrounding their relationship likely added to the stress of Webley and was added to the stress Webley was already experiencing. They divorced in 2010, with Avril Lavigne stating that she felt she was too young to be married at the time. While the divorce itself may not directly contribute to Sum 41's downfall, the added stress and the public scrutiny during this time likely played a role in Webley's personal struggles and the band's overall trajectory. Webley already had an issue with substance abuse, but add the divorce, mix in with his band declining, it just kind of put fuel on the fire. Internal tensions and decline of mainstream punk rock movement presented challenges for the band. The loss of backers' creative input and shifting music landscape contributed to decline in popularity. However, they persevered, releasing Screaming Bloody Murder in 2011, a darker and more ambitious album that earned them a Grammy nomination for Best Hard Rock/Metal Performance for the song Blood in My Eyes. With Webley being the last founding member of Sum 41, he found himself turning to the bottle more and more until he almost dies. Webley battled alcohol addiction, which stemmed from him needing to self-medicate, partly due to his manager and producer Greg Norrie, who from the beginning would make advances on him, many times trying to kiss him or grab him. Webley denied all of his advances, which in turn Norrie got physically and verbally abusive. Norrie was their manager and producer since the beginning, when Webley was only just 16 years old and Norrie was 34. After about a decade, they fired him. Webley initially used alcohol to self-medicate, but this quickly spiraled into dependency. In 2014, his alcohol abuse led to serious health issues, including liver and kidney failure, requiring hospitalization, and he nearly died. In addition to an alcohol problem, Webley also had a drug problem as well. Sum 41 experienced a resurgence in the mid-2010s with the return of Dave Backish and the release of 13 Voices in 2016. This album marked a return to their heavier roots and was well received by fans and critics. But even though it was received well by fans, the writing was on the wall. And this was no clearer of a point than their major label dropping them. They followed it up with Order in Decline in 2019, which was released by Hopeless Records. In 2022, they played the festival When We Were Young in Las Vegas, demonstrating their enduring appeal to both old fans and a new generation. Despite their renewed energy, Sum 41 announced their decision to disband in May of 2023. Their final album, Heaven and Hell, was released in 2024, serving as a farewell to their fans. While the band members have expressed their desire to move on to new ventures, frontman Derek Webley has also cited personal reasons for the disbandment, including a desire for a more stable lifestyle after years of relentless tour and health challenges. He has since relocated to Las Vegas, seeking a change of pace and less chaotic environment. The band's later years coincide with the rise of streaming platforms, which significantly impacted the music industry and artist revenue. While Sum 41 continued to release music and tour, their streaming numbers tell a story of declining popularity. Their most streamed album was their first album, All Killer No Filler, with 2.5 billion streams. This highlights the enduring popularity of their older material compared to their newer releases, with each release getting less and less than the previous. With All Killer at 2.5 billion streams, their next album got 1.8. Chuck was at 1.3, Underclass Hero was slightly above that 1.4, but then they took a very sharp downward turn. 13 Voices was only at 352 million, Screaming Bloody Murder was 315, Order in Decline was half that at 142 million, and Heaven and Hell has only mustered up 89 million streams for the entire album. As you can see, each album got less and less streams. Even the single from their most recent album got half as much as their single from the previous album. So in conclusion, what really happened to Sum 41? Well, they are a product of their time. Pop punk was an all-time high in the early 2000s, and they rode that wave right in. But as times went on, their style didn't really change, but the style of what people were listening to and what was popular at the time did. And they didn't really do much to venture out into other categories such as other artists have done before in the past. They kind of stuck to their lane. Now, they were in it for so long that nostalgia came back around, and people around my age really wanted to listen to their old bands again. And so festivals and like We Were Young tour, they got very, very popular. And so there's a new life breathed into these older nostalgic bands. But in terms of the new material, not very many people really wanted to listen to their new stuff. And so this is the cost of recording album after album. It just got too much, and probably the touring just is the only way they could really make money, since album sales and streaming numbers are just going down and down and down because no one really wants to listen to their new stuff. Eventually, they just called it quits altogether, and they had their last show and tour, and that was kind of the decline of Sum 41.